फ्रांस क्रिकेट रेजिडेंट एक्सपर्ट जेमी ऑल्टर। आज का दिन कैसा चल रहा है आप सभी का? लेट मी नो इन द कमेंट्स बिलो। हम आज बात करने वाले हैं कल जो खत्म हुआ था T20 वर्ल्ड कप के बारे में। बहुत सारी चर्चा करेंगे, बहुत सारी अपनी राय देंगे। मैं और मेरे एक दोस्त निखिल, यू नो हिम एज क्रिक क्रेजी निक्स ऑन ट्विटर एंड इंस्टाग्राम। ही इज अ फैंटेसी एक्सपर्ट, ही इज अ क्रिकेट राइटर, ही इज आल्सो समवन हु आई हैव had the pleasure of recently sharing time with on cricket.com के लाइव वॉच अलोंग्स पर। उससे पहले ऑफ कोर्स निखिल दो तीन बार मेरे इस शो भी आए थे, but he's someone who I enjoy engaging with. I enjoy hearing his views क्योंकि like me he often says things that people are not expecting, and also बहुत लोग जो नहीं कहते, निखिल भी मेरी तरह वो बात करते हैं। Without any further ado, let's get Nikhil onto the show once again and let's start today's discussion. आपको बता दूं कि आप लोग के पास कुछ सवाल है, कुछ कमेंट्स है, आपको हाई बोलना है तो आप अपने लॉक स्क्रीन के जरिए हम दोनों से इंटरैक्ट कर सकते हैं। निखिल, गुड टू सी यू अगेन।
Hello, hello. How are you?
वेरी वेल यार, थोड़ा रिलीफ है कि थोड़ा काम कम हो गया। आई से इट विद नोइंग दैट वर्क इज गुड फॉर अस, पर यार मुझे तो फिलहाल ब्रेक चाहिए था। तो होपफुली एट द एंड ऑफ दिस वीक आई कैन टेक ऑफ फॉर अ फ्यू डेज। बट व्हाट अ टूर्नामेंट यार। आई एम गोना पुट यू ऑन द स्पॉट निखिल। अगर हम तीन
Yeah.
तीन चार हफ्ते पहले जाते हैं, व्हाट वर योर टॉप फोर टीम्स एंड हाउ डिड इट पैन आउट? Might have lost Nikhil there for a second during the internet issues. तो मेरा सवाल ये है निखिल, इफ यू कैन हियर मी आई विल गेट हिम बैक ऑन। Must have been a momentary snag. कहीं जाइए मत दोस्तों, Nikhil is right back on the show. Deepu is saying hi. Hi, hi, welcome back, welcome.
Sorry, I don't know what went wrong there.
नहीं नहीं, होता है होता है।
Yeah.
तो I was saying कि let's rewind 3.5 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Remind me who your top four team was और कैसे क्या वो हुआ कि नहीं हुआ?
I think of the top four teams that we all saw mostly coming through, I think South Africa are the biggest letdown in that sense, purely in the terms of what you expected of them.
Correct.
New Zealand, I didn't think would do well in Australia. They did well surprisingly, but like always, they always flatter to deceive, and they tell you that okay, I'm going there, but then suddenly they said, "Oops, sorry, I don't have it in me to really go past that line." So yeah, I think major difference was South Africa. I think Australia had their issues, and yeah, so I think the rest three were pretty much on the cards.
So I had said, or मेरा logic, it was just purely based on the two pools, right? उस समय अगर
Yeah,
हम देखते हैं हमारे pool को, तो you would have said, यार देखो, yes, we understand what South Africa can do, but for me,
yeah,
Nikhil, it was very simple. I knew they would choke somewhere, और वही हुआ था, तो I was not looking because हम मैन टू मैन देखें, इनकी बॉलिंग हमारी बॉलिंग से बहुत अच्छी थी, राइट? They had someone like Riley Russo, who was aggressive number three. They had the problems, but man to man, I said, yeah, this team is going to choke. While I did not fancy Pakistan going that far. I said just by process of elimination, logically,
yeah,
मुझे लगता है कि पाकिस्तान जाएगा. I was not saying that top. मैंने कहा ये टीम काफी इनकी बैटिंग में बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. But it was more that I just did not see South Africa going. उस pool से my two favorites for the tournament were England and Australia. And I understand when you say कि there were problems in Australia, they were very visible problems.
yeah,
But मेरा वही था कि यार अगर वार्नर चल गया, अगर फिंच कहीं
yeah,
से वापस कर गया, तो they had the players to do it. वो नहीं हुआ. And I said about New Zealand, अगर ये टीम गई तो I would not be surprised. But like you mentioned, यार, they're like the RCB of international tournaments. वहां पहुंच के जो है वो they just cannot always go the distance. But I want to ask you something. I had also said कि इस टूर्नामेंट से पहले कि शायद ये सबसे unpredictable वर्ल्ड कप हो सकता है for various factors. Are you on the same page as me?
yes, yes. I think given what you've seen already in the year, हमें लग ही रहा था कि ये जैसे the term I use often, it's going to be a जय माता दी टूर्नामेंट जहाँ पे आप नहीं कह पाओगे कि आज क्या होने वाला है. एंड द प्राइमरी रीजन इज ये जो फॉर्मेट है, और जितनी अभी टीम्स ये फॉर्मेट ज़्यादा खेल रही हैं तो गैप्स टीम्स में कम हो जाता है, बिकॉज इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ 2 overs और 3 overs वेयर यू कैन रियली गो अहेड, गो सो फार अहेड ऑफ द ऑपोजिशन कि यू नीड वेरी वेरी गुड परफॉर्मेंसेज टू कम बैक. तो यही कारण है कि T20 लोगों को ज़्यादा इतना पसंद भी आता है, क्योंकि रिजल्ट्स अगर जो स्लाइटली वीकर टीम है अगर उसमें से एक दो बड़े परफॉर्मेंस निकल के आए तो देन सडनली द गेम्स ओपन अप, एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी सॉ राइट थ्रू द वर्ल्ड कप.
Yep. I put the same question up for our viewers here. Viewers कह रहे हैं it's a pretty strong poll. अक्सर हमारे पोल इतने strong नहीं होते हैं या इतने one sided नहीं होते, but 73% are saying yes, this was the most unpredictable World Cup. I'll give a lot of credit, or and I'm saying this Nikhil with full awareness कि बारिश ने काफी टीमों के साथ खिलवाड़ किया था, but despite, because people forget Nikhil कि this was unseasonal rain. October
Yeah,
is Australia, spring, it's a very dry time, and
yeah,
often international cricket does not happen so early. So if we
yeah.
just discard the rain, Afghanistan can say, "Bhai, हमारे तो दो मैच गए, Australia, England." I get that, but if we put aside rain being unseasonal, जो venues है वहां के, right? Bigger boundaries mean आपको सिंगल डबल पे ज्यादा फोकस करना पड़ेगा, और जिस टीम के साथ शायद इतने बड़े हिटर्स नहीं है, we often saw them lose wickets in a scramble. I think we discussed this on one of the watch alongs too. तो उस लिहाज से अगर देखें, that also added to the unpredictability of this whole tournament.
Yes, and also one very good thing that you touched upon is the kind of decks and the kind of game that we are used to. अब हम
Correct.
गोइंग टुवर्ड्स द वर्ल्ड कप हम यही सोच रहे थे कि यार वन 180 200 180 200 180 200 होगा, पर
बिल्कुल.
जो जो सीजनल रेन के कारण जो मॉइस्चर आपको मिला, जो मूवमेंट आपको मिली शुरुआत में, आई थिंक नॉट मेनी पीपल expected that kind of help for new ball bowlers, and that is what you see. The teams that have qualified, the teams that played the knockouts were the ones who did well with the new ball, be it India, be it Pakistan, be it England or even New Zealand. तो ये चारों टीम्स ने जो नए बॉल की मूवमेंट थी वो काफ़ी एक्सप्लॉइट करी, और वो जो था इट सेट द टोन. इवन yesterday the final that we talk about, the tone was set in the power play, and this is why of course we'll come to the biggest talking point of this World Cup, that is the power play. But it actually just brought the balance back in the game, which I'm always in for. मुझे लगता है आप बॉलिंग मशीन करा लो, अगर सब जगह पे आपको 200 के 200 रन देखने हैं, तो आई थिंक 160 180 मेक्स फॉर अ क्रैकिंग गेम. We saw so many thrillers. The 130 game was also a thriller.
Yep.
Of course, if Pakistan is involved, then even anything can be thriller. But in that sense, I think the World Cup had everything, which is a good package.
Yeah. No, and that 130 mark ended up being very crucial also in that game against Zimbabwe. Pakistan
Yes.
were chasing around that. India were also chasing, sorry, South Africa were chasing that much. मेरा ये मानना है कि अगर हम बैटिंग को एक तरफ रखें, had Virat Kohli held that catch of Markram and the very next over Rohit Sharma run out Miller, तो यकीनन वो South Africa team 134 के chase में भी चूक कर जाती. But Nikhil, you also mentioned this gulf between the, let's say, the associate level teams has really been reduced. इसके क्या कारण है? मेरे हिसाब से एक है कि इन इन टीमों के बहुत सारे players, they're also playing a lot of leagues, and this question was posed to Rahul Dravid, the coach, after the loss. He sort of sidestepped the issue by saying that if your players go off and focus on white ball leagues, it comes at an opportunity cost. I get where it came from, but Afghanistan, Ireland, इनके बहुत सारे players कुछ
Yeah.
CPL में हैं, कुछ PSL में हैं, कुछ
Yeah.
आपके NatWest Blast में हैं. Is this a
Yeah.
factor because we who follow the big teams don't always look at what the smaller teams are doing between these World Cups, right?
Yes, and also see what it does is, अब जो relatively lower rank teams हैं, उनके सभी players नहीं खेल रहे. It is their marquee players
Marquee.
and their T20 specialists that are playing, and then they are helping them with the information, with the experience that okay, this is how maybe we can go at this venue, this is how we can go versus this team. Someone like a David Vise is a prime example. He's played around the world in different conditions. तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आप हर जगह जाके सक्सेसफुल हो, आपको सारे गेम्स मिले, but even just the experience of how things are done there, what are the small things that you can incorporate in your practice for a particular venue. तो ये सारी information जो है वो आप जब बाहर निकलते हो out of your comfort zone, तब आप सीखते हो. तो I think that is the one place where I feel India should really start to look at that opportunity. That you, I'm not saying you send the guys who are going to play test matches or other formats, but you definitely have a pool of T20
बिल्कुल,
guys
you should.
who are T20 specialists. Send them there. Send a Rahul Tripathi to Australia. See what he's doing there. Send a Rahul Tripathi or somebody like him, Abhishek Sharma too. I know they have their Ranji tournaments as well, but then this is where you have to demarcate. This is my T20 pool. This is my ODI pool, and this is my Test pool. अगर उसका फ्यूचर टेस्ट क्रिकेट में नहीं है या आप उसको चांस नहीं देने वाले, इट इज़ बेटर दैट यू गेट हिम टू अ बेटर फॉर्मेट इफ इट, अगर उनके पास वो स्किल्स हैं तो, एंड यू एनहांस दो स्किल्स बाय सेंडिंग देम अवे. तो आई डू अग्री विद द पॉइंट कि येस, यू डोंट वांट टू जेपरडाइज द डोमेस्टिक स्ट्रक्चर, बट
Yeah.
आपके पास इतने प्लेयर्स, काफ़ी प्लेयर्स हैं इंडिया के पास, तो कि आप उनमें से एक सिलेक्ट को चूज़ करें और फिर उन्हें आप बाहर भेजें कि आप खेलो, सीखो, it's not about the living. I also understand where the board feels that, the exclusivity goes away,
Sure.
but you either take the exclusivity or you take the trophy. So
Absolutely no, and this dosto, I want to draw attention to what Nikhil has just said. I was having the same argument on another live yesterday evening. Ki, what is the opportunity cost if your first class structure is following? भाई बीसीसीआई कहाँ हमारी फर्स्ट क्लास स्ट्रक्चर को इतनी अहमियत देती है? कहाँ वो सैयद मुश्ताक अली को ट्रॉफी को अहमियत देती है? Your IPL is exclusive, but that exclusivity is
yeah,
your feeder system, right? लुक एट दिस पिक्चर आई पुट अप, ये जो राइट के दो टीम्स हैं यानी कि जॉस बटलर का इंग्लैंड दोस्तों और शाहीन शाह अफरीदी की पाकिस्तान टीम, इट इज नॉट विदाउट design that these two teams have got this far. Nikhil, you know, I want to tell our viewers this, इनके कितने प्लेयर्स पीएसएल सीपीएल बीबीएल ये खेल चुके हैं, हमारे
yeah,
नहीं खेलते हैं. And I'm on the same page as Nikhil when he says he understands the BCCI's, let's say, reluctance, some will say arrogance, but you took some very key names. इनको खेलो क्योंकि आपका अनुभव तभी बढ़ता है when you are playing in different conditions, Nikhil, when you are sharing different dressing rooms. How many international players, I will take you to yesterday, Sam Curran दोस्तों, उन्होंने कल कहा था man of the tournament. Sam Curran said the kind of experience and exposure that he got from playing in the IPL had helped him. हमारे players को भी ऐसे मौके मिलने चाहिए by going and playing overseas. I said this before the tournament. It is the teams like England, like Pakistan, who have so many players जो BBL खेल रहे हैं. These
yeah,
teams stand the farthest to go, and I think that showed it. चलिए ये हो गई बात वो थोड़ी rant वाली. Let's come on to the final. It was, I'm gonna put up a picture here of the two captains, Nikhil, and you tell me what you
yeah,
feel. You
yeah,
and I were on that cricket.com show. हमने बहुत सारी चर्चा कर दी वो
yeah.
कुदरत का क्या था वो
Kudraत ka
Nizam, sorry,
Nizam.
Nizam. I was going to think. But this final, it was nature versus nurture. On one hand, this Undertaker level of comebacks from Pakistan,
Yeah,
जिनका कभी कभी कोई सिस्टम है कभी नहीं है, कोई नहीं कह सकता कि हाँ there's a process, there's a system to the madness of Pakistan cricket. So that is the nature side. On the nurture side, there's Joss Butler's England जो पिछले 7 साल से इतना data driven, इतना
yeah,
analytical, इतनी precise nurturing नहीं है. It was
yeah.
fitting in a sense that these two teams clashed in the final.
Yes, completely. And I think we did discuss that this was the ninth match or the eighth match of the bilateral series that they played. So
Correct.
effectively, bilaterals are important if you play them well. And
Yeah.
see, I think you put it up nicely. That yes, you often expect or you don't know what to expect from Pakistan, but their bowling was always their strongest suit, and it carried them right through from the first game to now. And with England, it was the approach, their mindset. I think I read a very good non-cricket tweet which was perfect to encapsulate why England and India are in the place that they are. That it's not about the initiative; it's about the commitment to that initiative. You have to be committed to what you want to do and stick to it no matter whether it works or not. And a prime example of that, I'm sure we'll talk about this even later as well, is that scoop of Josh Butler to Nasim Shah. Now, Nasim Shah is beating his bat time and again, good length, ball beat हो रही है. But Josh Butler को अपनी game पता है. He says, okay, he's bowling there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to just scoop him over finally. And it's not a shot that he's taken out of the blue. वो
Yeah,
शॉट वो हर मैच
exactly.
में खेलते हैं पावर प्ले में. तो मेरा सीधा सीधा ये है कि मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि आप इंग्लैंड की स्टाइल कॉपी करो. मैं कर रहा हूँ आप इंग्लैंड का कमिटमेंट कॉपी करो.
बिल्कुल.
आप इंग्लैंड के कमिटमेंट से इंस्पायर हो. एंड द पॉइंट अबाउट सेंडिंग प्लेयर्स अवे इज आप उन्हें उसी रोल में दो जो रोल वो टीम के लिए खेलने वाले. If Rishabh Pant is going to come out and face the 18th or 19th over in the bat, it makes no sense to play him. You would rather play any Tom, Dick and Harry in that situation as opposed to Rishabh Pant, because then you've cancelled, you've neutralized the threat that Pant brings. तो अगर आपको चाहिए कि पंत उस रोल में खेले तो जाओ दिल्ली में और बोलो कि मैं यहाँ पे खेलने वाला हूँ. या तो यू पिक अ फ्रेंचाइज एंड यू प्ले दैट. नाउ देयर विल ऑलवेज बी डिबेट कि भाई फ्रेंचाइज इंपॉर्टेंट या इंटरनेशनल. द प्लेयर नोज इट एंड द
Yep.
फ्रेंचाइज नोज इट एज वेल. तो the thing is, both these sides, Pakistan and England, they did not go too far away from their strength or their core that what this is what works for us and we'll do this. So on the day you will say कि yes, Pakistan did get the matchup wrong कि यार आपने इफ्तिकार को भेज दिया जब आप शादाब खान को भेज सकते थे.
Correct, correct.
राशिद had an over left. आप उन्हें पावर हिटिंग कर सकते थे. इफ्तिकार could have come to hit pace. बट दिस इज द बिट अबाउट फाइनल्स ना, दिस इज द बिट अबाउट द प्रेशर, कि जब प्रेशर होता है, जब आपकी टीम थोड़ी फंसती गई है, तब वो क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट है क्या, वो कल इंग्लैंड ने दिखाया, और पाकिस्तान अनफॉर्चुनेटली केम थ्रू. इट डजंट मीन दैट वन इज फार ग्रेटर देन द अदर, द डिफरेंस
Yeah,
इज मीन्स कि वन साइड इज लॉस्ट टू आयरलैंड, द अदर इज लॉस्ट टू जिम्बाब्वे. तो
correct.
ऐसा
Yeah,
नहीं
yeah,
होता
yeah. No, no.
कि दे आर टू फार अपार्ट, बट इट्स द मार्जिन ऑफ एरर दैट इज सो लेस, एंड विच इज वाई kudos to Josh Butler. I think Josh Butler as a captain right through the tournament, आपने देखो after the loss against Ireland, they realized, I still think there was a scope. I'm not sure how much we'll talk about Stokes, but he hit his first T20 at 50. तो ऐसा नहीं है
It's
कि
on there.
स्टोक्स इज अ T20 legend or a great guy that you had to carry. They carried a few people as well. You did not need any contribution from Moeen Ali,
Correct.
Livingston, right
Correct.
with the bat,
Yep.
like the 20 ball 50s. Yet you won. So that is the liberty that you get if you stick to your core. कि आपके पास एक दो ऐसे प्लेयर भी हों तो भी चल जाता है. पाकिस्तान ऑल्सो हैड द सेम थिंग. तो
Yep.
नवाज को यूज ही नहीं किया. आई डोंट नो ही वाज प्लेइंग एज अ बैटर और अ बॉलर या और अ स्पेशलिस्ट फील्डर. तो ये लिबर्टी आपको तब मिलती है जब आपके पास स्कोर वो स्ट्रांग हो और
बिल्कुल.
ऑप्शंस हो आपके पास.
बिल्कुल. You raised a lot of valid points. I'm going to pick up two from this, but इससे पहले I'm going to quickly put up a poll. Were England the best team in the tournaments? Viewers, आपके पास 20 सेकंड है अपने poll cast करने के लिए. I will come to the Rishabh Pant and the whole India tactic approach. But what you just said about Josh Butler being an impressive captain, no doubt. And I have never actually rated Babar Azam that highly because there's been enough instances where he's not sure what to do. I won't even go back in this World Cup. I think he did not know when Hardik Pandya and Virat Kohli suddenly changed the match around. He looked lost. Kisko dalu. Mohammad Nawaz, you just brought up the issue. I mean, I think like having Shaheen Shah Afridi, who came into this tournament, Nikhil, under an injury cloud, very obvious that he was not fully fit. He
Yeah,
got better, better, better. But
yeah,
in a knockout match, when the parallels to Wasim Akram coming on in at the NCG 30 years before, we were wondering कि ये बंदा कब आएगा. उसी bowler को आपने जाके long off पे रखा, which is one of the most scariest places for a fast bowler. यहाँ पे it's a fast bowler who is injury prone and who's not fit. So small
yeah,
small things. एक second. Poll के मुताबिक 47% are saying yes and 53% are saying no. कौन सी team look more dangerous? Maybe it's Pakistan. I'd like to hear from you guys.
yeah,
But just going back to England, you rightly mentioned hardly anything from Moeen Ali. The fact that Liam Livingston did not even do one thing of note,
yeah,
and despite not playing that quote unquote England game, this
yeah,
team got to the semi-finals. It underlines all that we're talking about. इनका पहला ताबड़तोड़ मैच कब आया? सेमीफाइनल में जब उन्होंने इंडिया को धोया. Then what happened the next match? Yes, Naseem Shah put Ben Stokes, and I will talk about Ben Stokes. But the point is that process of playing someone like Ben Stokes, he has been there. He's been there at Carlos Brathwaite's wrong end. He's been there in World Cup matches. He started the 2019 World Cup with the catch of the year, maybe, and he finished it with the innings of the year. Uske 6 hafte baad, he goes to Headingley and does that. So there is logic to why they backed him. But I
yeah.
just go back to what you said. There was a clear process. The India win, Nikhil, mere saab se, that was a win achieved in the back room, as was the final. Backroom wins.
Yes, yes, and again, it's the bit about also adjusting to the challenges. See, Jason Roy did not work out. They did not play him कि भाई बड़ा नाम है, बड़ा नाम है, बड़ा नाम है, let's play him. They
Correct.
chucked him out. They got Alex Hales in. Yes, Morgan not playing, retiring on time is also a lesson that you can overstay, but you need to know when to go.
बिल्कुल
So
बिल्कुल.
these things that are very, and we keep forgetting they didn't have Johnny Bairstow, they didn't have Jofra Archer, they did not even play Mark Wood, and they lost Reece Topley, who was one of their key bowlers in the power play. And what they did not go back to somebody कि यार इसका बड़ा नाम है, इसको लेके जाते भले वो वर्ल्ड कप नहीं खेला. So there are so many parallels that India can draw from England, where England stuck to their roles. कि ओके, रीस टॉपली जो काम कर रहा है, कैन सैम करन डू इट, हाउ कैन आई डू इट, लेट्स गो देयर. Chris Wokes, can he do the role for us only in the power play? Okay, let's go and see. It may not come off or it may come off, but the point is you're still not playing with the role that the player was assigned. तो आपने वैसे प्लेयर्स ढूंढे. बेन स्टोक्स का यूसेज आप देखें, इंडिया ने उनको बहुत विनम्रता से, सब प्यार से बोला आइए आइए आप बॉलिंग करिए, हम आपको नहीं मारेंगे, आप टेंशन मत लो, सब अपना घर का है, क्या करना है.
Well said.
तो दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ अप्रोच, यू हैव टू बी अवेयर कि ये ओवर निकालने आए हैं. कल माइकल आर्थर मेड अ वेरी ग्रेट पॉइंट दैट इंग्लैंड हैव स्मार्टली यूज्ड बेन स्टोक्स. in the overs that are least hit for majority of runs. And that is a very smart thing to do, to use data rightly, कि आप और उसमें अगर वो विकेट ले जाता है तो that is cherry on the cake. So
बिल्कुल
that is the way you plan. Now results are not in your hand, but at least the planning is so clear that okay, this is the role, this is how we'll do it. And Adil Rashid, he was not among the wickets, but he never bowled a horrible spell for them to say कि नहीं इसको हम नहीं खिलाएंगे यार, इनके इनसे wickets नहीं आ रहे. But he was bowling well, and come the big day, he turned the game with that massive wicket of Babar Azam. So that is why you back. So that's the way to back experience. Use them in the right place, not just hope कि भाई they'll come off.
करेक्ट Adil Rashid, very, very crucial name you've taken. He has had a rough last few months. आप कह सकते हैं कि ये इनके फॉर्म स्पिनर नहीं है, but he was their most experienced, their most valuable spinner.
Yeah,
Just like they backed Ben Stokes when the bat was not doing much, they backed
yeah,
Rashid. And like we talked about that day on the other live, Surya Kumar Yadav had faced about 3-4 balls of leg spin before he came to the crease in the semi-final. They knew कि भाई हमने इसका मैचअप बनता है. He
yeah,
tossed the ball wide. Surya's magic disappeared. और मैच के बाद जॉस बटलर ने ऋषभ पंत को लेके भी बड़ी अच्छी बात करी कि वी हैड प्लान फॉर हिम टू कम आउट इफ ही इज
yeah,
कमिंग आउट इन द 89th ओवर दैट्स फाइन फॉर अस राइट एंड द सेम मैचअप निखिल और हमारे व्यूअर्स द मैचअप बाबर आजम स्ट्रगलिंग अगेंस्ट आदिल रशीद थ्रू आउट हिज
yeah,
करियर and overall against leg spin these are tactical choices you did not like you said they did not break from the template there may have been a temptation to play somebody else who was
yeah,
more informed but नहीं भैया अगर हम सेमीज तक पहुंचे और सामने स्काई है या बाबर है तो someone like Rashid can do the job this is
yeah,
the template which they set under Morgan 7 years ago and
yeah.
it's paid dividends
बिल्कुल. And the thing is, it was long term. It was
yeah
not something that is going to be okay, let's talk a lot, let's talk a lot, let's talk a lot. They walked the talk right through. They've had, see, it is very easy to now say that England were great, but it's also important to remember they were not successful in bilaterals because they were trying stuff. They were missing
yep
players and they lost. So even if they lost, it still would not have said कि भाई ये revolution अच्छा नहीं रहा है. You look at the last few world tournaments and where they've finished. They won a final, they've lost a final, they've been semi-finalist once, and now they again won. So the process is working for them, and it's not the problem. At times we also associate with India is it's the manner of the loss more than the loss that has hurt the Indian cricket a
बिल्कुल
lot more, and not just the result. You can lose, it's okay, it's fine. It's the approach, it's the kind of games that you have played which make you think that okay, what are we even sure कि हम बड़े दिन पे वो चीज कर पाएंगे क्या.
बिल्कुल सही है one last question on this England win and the man on our screen then we'll get into where India blew it you know it viewers को याद होगा कि 2016 T20 World Cup final Eden Gardens the
Yeah,
match was in England's bag or so it seemed Ben Stokes bowls in that role last over he had 18 to defend he gets hit for 4 sixes he falls to his knees he cries मैं था वहां पे उस दिन प्रेस बॉक्स पे कोलकाता में बहुत लोगों को लगा कि यार क्या ये बंदा कभी ठीक से वापस आ पाएगा वापस आए हैं बहुत मुश्किलों का सामना करना पड़ा but like I said then he goes and he plays a fantastic innings with luck of course in the 2019 one day final with some luck he also scores that Headingley epic which is arguably the greatest England chase since Botham's Ashes अगर वहां पे नेदन लायन बॉल को पकड़ते हो तो वो हीरो नहीं बनते but point is के ये कहीं से T20 ग्रेड तो नहीं है he was beaten by Naseem Shah. He couldn't score a run, but the scorecard will say that he
yeah.
was 50 not out in a World Cup final. Big match temperament. How important is it for players like this? And is that something that India can definitely look to build someone like a Stokes?
See, I'll definitely say he's had his fair share of ups and downs, and as you rightly mentioned, you need luck in knockouts.
बिल्कुल
Let's put it as bluntly as it can be. All three games, that World Cup final, the Stokes, the Brathwaite bit, that way he was on the other end, the Headingley bit. Even yesterday, you did not see Stokes in control for a long period of that knock. But the thing was, the situation demanded him to just do the bare minimum, and in knockouts, that is where people falter the most. In understanding what is the bare minimum
Yes.
and कितना मुझे एटलीस्ट करना चाहिए ताकि मेरी टीम बेटर पोजीशन में हो. सी आई एम कंप्लीटली ऑन द लाइन के दिस कुड हैव बीन फार मोर ट्रिकी had Iftikhar not bowled, had they not. I'm not saying they would have lost, but it could have gotten a bit more close. It wouldn't have resulted in a different, it wouldn't
Yeah.
have been a different result, but it would have needed Stokes to do something else. तो ये चीज़ आपको बड़े दिन पे, अब देखो ये सेटअप तो हो गया था बॉलर से, तो ऑल स्टोक्स न्यू ही ऑल ही हैड टू डू वाज बैट डी.
Bad
बट
deep. Yep.
ये यही क्लैरिटी जो होती है नॉकआउट गेम्स में, प्रेशर में कभी कभी यू मिस आउट ऑन, बिकॉज यू नॉट बीन पार्ट ऑफ सच इंस्टेंसेस अर्लियर इन योर करियर. नाउ बिकॉज स्टोक्स हैज बीन पार्ट ऑफ सो मेनी प्रेशर गेम्स, अब आप उन्हें फिर वैसा एसोसिएट करते हो कि ओके नाउ ही इज द मैन फॉर द बिग मोमेंट्स. अब कल ऐसा भी टाइम आएगा जब ही विल नॉट वर्कआउट, एंड दैट इज द पेरिल्स ऑफ बीइंग अ मिडिल ऑर्डर बैटर. Now, take a very rough or a wrong example of Dhoni. Earlier in his career, he was in so many such positions and they worked in his favor. तो आप बोले कि he is the man for the big one. But जब वो नहीं चलता तो you are
Yep.
like okay now something else is happening. So for now Stokes has had his highs and lows both. So for I'm happy for him. And you see there is a lesson in terms of how England used him as well. 2016 में he was bowling the last over.
Correct.
उसके बाद से I don't think Stokes has bowled last overs enough
I'd be
क्योंकि
very surprised.
because they understood, they realized that this is not what is best for both him and the team. तो ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग, ये सेटअप, ये कॉन्फिडेंस तब आता है जब आपके पास वो सारी चीजें एकदम प्लान में लिखी हुई हो. और अब 2 साल में, आई एम सॉरी आई गो बैक टू दैट रैंक, कि अब 2 साल में किसी को नहीं खिलाएगा, रैंडमली उठा के नहीं खिला सकते. सो दैट इज द थिंग, दे बैक देयर प्रोसेसेस. एंड स्टोक्स इज समवन जो जैसे आप देखो, ही डिडंट इवन प्ले द पाकिस्तान सीरीज, तो वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में आके ही खेले. तो
Correct.
यू विल सी दोज प्लेयर्स रेज देयर गेम ऑन द बिग डे because they've been part of those knockouts before and it is not worked. So sometimes it's that failure that spurs you on and tells you that okay, last time I did this mistake, I'll not do it now.
Bilkul, and that same Ben Stokes who hit for 4 sixes, you rightly mentioned earlier, कि Michael Atherton said कि now see how what the kind of overs he's being used. So
Yeah.
clearly it just goes back to the process. We'll come to India, but one more poll for our viewers here, दोस्तों आपके लिए. Is Ben Stokes the best all-rounder today? While our viewers cast their votes, let's come into India because I know we've all given our views कि क्या होना चाहिए था, क्या नहीं हुआ. But वही उसी शब्द का उपयोग मैं करना चाहूंगा, the process. It seemed to me that after India limped out of last year's 2021 T20 World Cup at roughly this same stage, there was an acceptance कि हाँ भाई कुछ बदलाव की जरूरत है. Rohit Sharma for a while walked the talk in trying to score a bit brisk. You saw the team scored cross 200 more than they ever had in the last 2.5 years. But like you said, some random players were picked out of the blue. Viewers have come. 66% are saying yes, Ben Stokes is the best. In short, I know it's not a simple answer. You've touched upon some factors. Where did India come up short? Because मेरा ये मानना है, over to you. Bilaterals में आप जो हासिल करते कोई याद नहीं करता है, आपको ट्रॉफीज जीतना चाहिए.
नहीं बिल्कुल काफी फेयर है द एक्सपेक्टेशन, एंड द एक्सपेक्टेशन इज आल्सो बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाट यू हैव बीन डूइंग इन द लीड अप टू दैट वर्ल्ड टूर्नामेंट. I think for India it was a combination of a lot of things. Primarily, it was the form of the top order. Uh, I don't know how many back. I always felt Virat Kohli will come good in Australia because it is his back foot game is that good and he's quality enough and he has that thing about. आप स्टोक्स के बारे में बात करते हो, big match temperament. This is the same guy who's time and again come through scoring those hard runs when things are difficult. So
Fair
tabhi
enough. Yes.
that is why you celebrate players like him, because you have those performances coming through. And I think where India, after now having got a few days off, after a lot of talk about India, I think it was more to do with where India played. And now this I could be very wrong here. I think it was where India played those bilaterals and in what conditions.
Yeah.
Now, I think India played a lot of aggressive cricket in the power play, but they came to Australia and they saw that भाई इधर तो बॉल मूव हो रहा है शुरू में, तो यहाँ पे तो आप वो टाइप की क्रिकेट खेल नहीं पाओगे. So maybe we'll have to tone down a bit. And they played the first game in Waka. They saw the ball move around. They saw how the ball is doing a bit for everybody around. So
Yep.
suddenly it came to them like, okay, now how do we go about this? Because it's not coming off the way we want to. So that is one. And the other is the form of both KL and Rohit. I think I don't think there is anybody who has a very clear answer on what is wrong or what is right with KL and what he should do to get out of that mindset. But it definitely looks more a mindset problem to me than skill issue. I think KL is incredibly skilled. Maybe he needs an opening or a shell not a time outside of this shell from India, and maybe play a few games for your club side or wherever you want to just free up your mind. And with Rohit as well, I think I wouldn't say that Rohit did not try; it never came off.
It never came off.
So that is something that I don't know what you put down to, but I think India's batting in the last few World Cups is what has let them down, and not the bowling. People have missed everybody. People have missed Kapil Dev. People have missed everybody in the bowling section. कि भाई ये होता तो वो होते तो ये होते तो, but आपकी बैटिंग ने लेट डाउन करा है. तो एंड इट इज व्हाट इट इज. देयर इज नथिंग यू कैन डू अबाउट इट. एंड इंडियाज अप्रोच जो हमने बहुत बात करी, I think conditions played a factor, but it was also the result of those conditions कि आप बहुत ज़्यादा डर गए आउट होने से, यार मैं आउट हो जाऊंगा तो. एंड देन द कॉम्बिनेशनल इशू कि आप जडेजा बाहर चले गए. आई थिंक नाउ पीपल रियलाइज इवन मोर हाउ मच
Yeah,
जडेजा द बैटर यू आर मिसिंग एज अपोज टू द बॉलर. क्योंकि
बिल्कुल.
आपने अक्सर पटेल और अश्विन को इसी बेस पे खिलाया कि आपको उनसे थोड़े रन मिल जाएंगे, बट द प्रॉब्लम वॉज आपने उन्हें यूज,
It is a flaw.
एंड आपने उन्हें यूज ही नहीं किया. आप वो करे ना करे वो अलग बात है, बट अगर आप उनसे कर रहे हो तो उसके जिस चीज के लिए वो आपने किया वो आपने वो भी नहीं किया. सो आई थिंक दैट वाज द मेन. देयर वर टू मेजर थिंग्स दैट हिट मी वेरी badly for this management was the recall of Shami, because you tried Avesh Khan, Prasidh, and Siraj and everybody, but you suddenly realize that नहीं यार मेरे को बैक ऑफ लेंथ अगर बुमराह हिट कर रहे हैं तो कौन सा वो बॉलर जो हिट करेगा, तो शमी करेंगे. तो आपको ये वर्ल्ड कप की 2 महीने पहले नहीं याद आना चाहिए. दैट इज अ वेरी बिग मिस. देन यू प्लेड द लाइक्स ऑफ दीपक हुड्डा, सूर्य कुमार यादव इन द टॉप ऑर्डर. व्हाट वाज द
Yep.
पर्पस?
What was the purpose?
You achieved literally nothing by doing that. And if you are always going to play KL Rahul, why would you play Rishabh Pant up top? Because so then, and the thing is, we don't get answers for this because, of course, transparency is not something that they believe in. So hopefully that वो कभी आगे आए. But I think it was these calls. You play Akshar Patel and then you put him out for Deepak Hooda, who then plays a very. India tried that aggressive approach, but they picked out South Africa at Perth. So these are the calls that sting me, that it was again once again getting adapting to those conditions. I think India did not adapt well to those conditions, and both the openers were, one did not come off, and other I don't know if you can say he did not try, or he was too worried that okay, both of us can't swing. What if it doesn't work out? So I don't think it's a single factor, but it all does come down to the way they thought about the game and
Yes.
how they wanted to approach the entire T20 batting innings.
Absolutely, every single thing you have said, I am nodding in agreement. And I don't think what the two of us are saying is something really earth shattering. It has been there for a long time to see. You rightly said last 2 3 World Cups, the batting has been the disappointment. यहाँ पे Asia Cup के बाद सबको लगा यार bowling खराब है. But again, the bowlers, Jasprit Bumrah's absence was not felt. वो क्या करते उस मैच में? All said and done, Shami and Bhuvaneshwar, Arshdeep especially, and Ashwin, जो जो टूट फूट के इन्होंने bowling lineup लगाया था, they did help the team into it, right? But exactly, it was the selections. And I get the fact that yes, like you mentioned earlier, no one expected the power play to be so tough. There was some movement conditions. But यार आप इंडिया हो, आप ऑस्ट्रेलिया में बहुत बार जा चुके हो. आपके कोच राहुल द्रविड़ हैं. Rohit Sharma's got a very good record in Australia in white ball. Virat Kohli's got an outstanding record. There was enough evidence to say कि भाई आपका बैकअप प्लान क्या था. We saw
Yeah,
Finn Allen. चलिए मैं मानता हूं कि Finn Allen ने केवल एक मैच में किया था. But that was the match that stunned Australia. He took on Stark, right? We saw Liton Das do it. Butler. Yes, the power plays overall were not that good for any team. पर अगर हर मैच में हर एक बंदा कुछ तो कर सकता है, where was the excuse for KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma to not do it? Rohit Sharma tried. The two matches he got, beyond 15-20, there was some luck involved. He was dropped. There were no balls.
yeah,
But KL Rahul, and you said, I don't think anyone has the answer as to why जिस बंदे के पास इतना टैलेंट है वो ऐसा खेलता है जैसा ये इनका आखिरी मैच है. निखिल, I agree with you about Mohammad Shami. Mohammad Shami, there was a 12-month gap between this man's T20I matches. He was not used at the depth during this IPL when his team did so well. So it was a strange decision. Someone like a Dinesh Karthik, chalo, you have backed him for a certain job. You gave
yeah,
him the longest rope. ठीक है, I get where, but then come the last two matches, यार ये बंदा तो नहीं चल रहा है, इसका क्या करें हम? Then you go back to Rishabh Pant, who, like you said, Rishabh Pant's job is not to come out in the 18th over, right? If he's not in your top four, Rishabh Pant should not be in your 11. Then you bring him back, he's low on confidence. Someone like an Ashwin, this is the most T20 Is India has ever played in a calendar year. Before this World Cup, he had played 7 matches. Ab achanak World Cup jaake he plays all the matches. How do you explain it? I'm at a loss of words, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said. Na, it was the thought process of how they want to go about the World Cup. क्योंकि आपने पूरे साल कुछ और करा, so
Correct.
eventually you come back to the same thing that you had with the previous management, that आप कहते कुछ हो, आप करते कुछ हो, और इवेंचुअली वर्ल्ड कप में कुछ और ही होता है. तो वो चीज़ें नहीं आप देखना चाहते. यू वांट टू सी द सेम गाइस. सी, आई अंडरस्टैंड दे टुक अ कॉल विद हर्षल दैट ओके, इट्स because there is no Bumrah, we want somebody to hit the deck. So Arshdeep will bowl the deck to end overs, and for middle overs, I think it's a. I don't know. You can read it however you want. It's a confidence low for Harshal that if you prefer Shami over him, if you felt that Harshal was not going to do the job for you in Australia, तो आपको उन्हें नहीं लेके जाना. You should not take him with you. After giving him so many games, if he was injured, you said कि भाई वो वापस नहीं आए, तो आपने what was the point of the 2 years or the year that you had जब आपने उनको खिलाया? See, and that is why the man in the picture, I have immense respect and fan for life of how he's come through the ranks in such a, and he's not come out of the blue.
He's not.
He's time and time again delivered for his domestic side. He was the one, again, I've said this in many watch alongs and videos, that he was leading Punjab's bowling attack and not Shami. He was the one who was bowling the tougher overs for them, and he was coming good because he backed what worked for him. I think India did not back what worked for him, and of course, the result is for all to see.
Absolutely, I'm on the same page. This guy for me, Nikhil, is the story of Indian cricket this year. क्योंकि इसको finally, like you said, ऐसे नहीं आई है युवा खिलाड़ी हैं. He's a rookie at this level, but there were 2.5, 3 good years of IPL
Yeah.
cricket for that specific role. Left armor है, ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. Also a factor, but the consistency that he showed across domestic seasons, which is why he's here. Anyways, you and I don't have the answer precisely for what happened to India. We have, I mean, वी कैन गो ऑन अबाउट इट, बट वही है कि आप टूर्नामेंट्स में आप वो नहीं करते हो जो आपको करना चाहिए. ऑन अ मोर पॉजिटिव नोट, बिफोर वी हैव टू रैप द शो अप, कैन यू पिन पॉइंट three personal highlights, three personal milestones, which for you will make this World Cup a memorable one?
I think it cannot happen that you cannot talk about that Kohli 6 to Haris Rauf. Just talking about it gives me
Ah,
goosebumps.
correct.
I don't see. We've seen a lot. All of us have seen a lot of cricket. Uh, I can't even
I know, I
see.
can, yeah, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
Just सोच के मेरे को और it feels very special because the way the game was set up and the way the game was going. 28 from 8, and the best possible result that you want is यार दो छक्के लग जाए, ये गेम खुल सकता है. And to hit those two sixes, and even the last one, the last one, तो फिर भी ठीक है. This one to Haris Rauf, the guy who's probably bowled his best at that venue, knows the conditions inside out, into the deck, off the back foot, off balance, to just, and it's not that ये पहली बार शॉट खेल रहा है, वो खेले हैं पहले, but to do that under pressure, जो हमने स्टोक्स की बात करी,
Situation.
it's the context that matters, and it was incredible. And I wrote this as well, that no matter how old I get, I will never forget how I felt when that six was hit, because it is that special. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I think I'm thankful that Kohli has given so many such moments for us.
No, that was arguably the best India-Pakistan match
Yeah.
of all times. Any
Yeah.
such moments which did not involve an Indian player?
Yes, the next two are the ones that did not involve India.
Huh.
Uh, the second one is Joshua Little, the hat trick that he took. Now,
Against New Zealand,
again,
na Shahid? Huh.
yeah, and the thing is, now I'm someone who plays a lot of fantasy, obviously, because I follow a lot of cricket,
Yeah,
and
yeah, of course.
I play fantasy because I follow cricket, and it's the vice versa. And
Same,
there are
same.
so many games where you back these kind of guys who've played around the world in different leagues, done this role, and him taking a hat trick was the perfect encapsulation of how this World Cup went for many sides. It was one moment up, other moment down, and you are suddenly in the game. And it is hat tricks are always special, and I've always been a very bowler friendly person. So I think though that hat trick, and it was also the manner. He took one shot, then goes LBW. It's just the perfect way that you would want to stamp your authority. And of course, that is comes from Ireland player is something that I feel was very special. Of course, they did beat England as well, so they had that ritual done for the World Cup as well. So that's number two, and number three, I think, was the Josh Butler scoop of Naseem Shah. I think
in the
it
final.
just in the final. I think it sums up England's approach. It sums up England's intent and the process that they began in Australia in 2015. That this is how we will play. It is fraught with risk, but we will ensure we practice and do enough that we get enough rewards. They batted till number 11 in the final. How many teams in the world can be in a position? Yes, they've compromised on bowling quality, 100% agree, but they've made that choice for themselves and they're sticking to it. So they deserve the two World Cups that they hold. How arguably one and one may be tied, but they have the two World Cups because they've played a brand of cricket that others are still trying to catch up to. So I think this shot just encapsulates the entire World Cup for them.
Yeah. And just what Josh Butler can do, like we said earlier when we referenced this shot, it's a shot he plays a lot. He backs himself. Naseem Shah was beating the bat. भाई power play अभी भी चल रहा है. मैं कुछ करूंगा. I have
And
to. हाँ,
just to add to that point, I also read a tweet about in the last two World Cups, he's still the best batter. It speaks
बिल्कुल.
volumes about the difference of the two conditions and still be so he's properly named Josh the boss. आपको चाहिए वो एंकर करे वो एंकर करेंगे, आपको चाहिए वो शुरू से मारे वो शुरू से मारे. So that is what you want, the perfect T20 batter if there ever is so far.
And perfect choice also from a fantasy
Yeah,
team to another one. इनको तो minimum इनको तो vice captain रखना ही है.
yeah,
कल भी ये मेरे vice captain थे. And you're so right to pull off this shot in the cauldron of the final, a shot which you've trained for many years. It encapsulates why he is Josh the boss and why this team is also so bloody good. I think very quickly for me, yes, that Virat Kohli, in fact, more than Virat Kohli, the whole match itself was such a
yeah,
spectacle. That would be, I think because I called it the fact that South Africa choked against Netherlands. That's something which it's not a good thing, but यार
yeah,
किसको नहीं पता कि ये होगा. And then as an individual knock, which I did not see coming, Glenn Phillips 100 against Sri Lanka.
yes,
They were on the mat for him to play that. I think सूर्य के बाद अगर कोई नंबर 4 है जो
yeah,
इतने talented है, it would be Glenn Phillips.
yes, yes, hundred
Nikhil,
percent.
we've absolutely run out of time. Thank you once again for taking out time. Always a pleasure. We'll see you here and we'll see you on
Yep.
cricket.com again. Who knows? Be well and keep doing all the right things that you do with your fantasy predictions as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, we love the game. So yeah, let's keep trying. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Nikhil, and thank you to all our viewers who joined in. This is Jamie Alder saying goodbye. Enjoy your week, everyone.
Thank you.